I was Holden's stabilizer. He was violent, too violent. Only a beta like me, who needed money more than he valued his own life, could handle him. But that day, when I saw him holding an Omega's hand with a tenderness I'd never seen before, it finally clicked. It wasn't that he didn't have a gentle side. I just wasn't worthy of it. I glanced at the 7-figure balance in my bank account and thought, it's time to go. That night, Holden was drunk again, and exceptionally rough. My whole body felt like it was on fire. I could only bite my lip and cry silently. By the time he finished, the sun was already up. He dumped me on the messy sofa and left without looking back. He never stayed the night. To him, I was just a disposable tool. Nothing worth caring about. Dragging my exhausted body to the shower to clean up, I slowly made my way downstairs to the pharmacy. You're back? The usual? The clerk was a beta like me. He handed over a bag of ointment with practiced familiarity. I shook my head. No, just give me the regular stuff. I used to buy the best medicine, hoping to recover quickly since I still had to work. But the price was astronomical. Every time I paid, it hurt almost as much as the bruises. Now that I was about to quit, there was no point. Are you sure? The clerk's eyes lingered on the purple bruises on my neck, hesitating. Those won't heal well and recovery will be slow. Or was Commander Holden gentler this time? Gentle? I pulled the corner of my mouth into a forced smile and didn't answer. He had a gentle side, just not for me. The clerk sighed lightly but packed the cheaper medicine and handed it to me. After treating my wounds, I submitted my resignation without a second thought. Whoever wanted to be his stabilizer could go right ahead. I was done. I slept until dark, but my body still ached. I got up to pack. This apartment was provided by Holden. Naturally, I couldn't stay here after quitting. I was halfway through packing when the door was kicked open with a loud bang. It was Holden. He brought the chill of the night air with him, his expression terrifyingly dark. Commander, why are you? Before I could finish, he grabbed my face, his grip so tight it hurt. Liam, you're quitting? Am I not treating you well enough? Or is the money not enough? Enough. It was more than enough. It was precisely because I had enough money that I wanted to run. I cursed him silently but forced a smile on my face. Commander, it's my body. I can't take it anymore. The next second, he flung my face away, threw me heavily onto the bed, and pressed his weight down on me. Is that so? Holden's voice was hoarse. He roughly tore open my shirt and bit down on the back of my neck. The pain made me groan. Your body seems fine to me. HM? Commander, wait. My futile struggles seemed to enrage him, and he only bullied me harder. It hurt. It hurt so much. In the past, no matter how fierce he was, he would wait until I was mostly recovered. But now he was more intense than ever before. By the end, I didn't even have the strength to beg for mercy. I could only tremble and cry. This time, surprisingly, he didn't leave. Instead, he carried me into the bathroom. With lowered eyes, he cleaned me up with a gentleness I had never experienced from him. My mind was a mess, but when his calloused fingers grazed a certain spot, I couldn't help but hiss in pain. Holden paused, his voice slightly raspy. You're clearly a beta, yet so delicate. I bit my lip and didn't answer. I was bleeding, of course it hurt. My nose stung, and tears welled up again, betraying me. His breathing suddenly grew heavier. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. Cry, baby. Keep crying and I'll kiss you. Scared, I immediately held back the tears, but he kissed me breathless anyway. All right, what do you want? Say it. Holden wrapped me in the duvet and hovered over me. I shrank back and whispered, I want to resign. His face visibly darkened. Anything but that. Oh, then nothing. The air remained stagnant for a few seconds before he scoffed. Your temper is getting worse. He kissed my cheek, neither lightly nor heavily, then turned and walked out, closing the door behind him. Only when the sound of his footsteps faded did I let out a breath, the pain becoming more acute. I fell into a fitful sleep amidst my anxiety. The next day, I couldn't even get out of bed. Seeing the sky darken again, I braced myself against the wall and shuffled to the kitchen, looking for something to eat. Just then, the door was pushed open again. My body shuddered instinctively, and my voice came out thick with congestion. See, Commander, I really can't take any more. Holden was holding something, His Adam's apple bobbed. He took a few steps forward, scooped me up with one hand, and pressed me onto the sofa. My breath hitched. I pushed at him blindly, but he forced me to sit on his lap. Stop acting up. Holden unscrewed the jar in his hand, scooped out a large chunk of snow-white paste, pulled open my pajamas without explanation, and smeared it on my wounds. I recognized this stuff. It was the Federation's military-grade repair balm. Only a handful of the top brass had access to it. Holden was one of them. Once, when he had been particularly rough, I had cried and asked for some. At the time, he kissed me with a smile, but said, "You think you deserve this?" Since then, I never mentioned it again. The cold sensation brought me back to reality. My body was stiff. "Why are you so tense?" He patted my butt. "Relax." I immediately went limp, my palms sweating from panic. "Commander, using such good stuff on me. It's a waste." He slowly lifted my chin, looking at me with a half-smile. "What, trying to tell me what to do now?" I didn't mean that." He stared at me quietly for a few seconds, making the hair on my arms stand up, before lowering his eyes. "All right, spread your legs." After applying the medicine, I lay limp in Holden's arms. His breathing was a bit heavy. He lifted my chin, planted a heavy kiss on my lips, and then took a velvet box out of his coat. "For you." "Open it." I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a delicate necklace that looked incredibly expensive. "Do you like it?" It was indeed beautiful, but I never wore things like this. It looked more like something prepared for a pretty Omega. "Isn't it too valuable?" He put it on me, brooking no argument. The cold metal against my neck felt indescribably wrong. "It suits you." "Really?" "But..." My lips were blocked again. We tangled for a while before he licked his lips, looking unsatisfied. "Liam, I gave it to you so you keep it. Understand?" Meeting his dark gaze, I lowered my eyes and nodded. Inside, however, I was calculating how much I could sell it for. Holden held me and kissed me for a while longer, then actually left. The next day, I got up early and threw the necklace into an auction house. As I turned to leave, I almost bumped into someone. The man looked familiar, exquisite features, clearly from a wealthy background. His gaze went past me, seemingly surprised. "Huh? Didn't Holden say this necklace was a one-of-a-kind piece?" I didn't think it suited me, so I turned it down. He smiled at me. "So, sir, you are its new owner?" That's when I recognized him. Julian, Holden's childhood friend, the Omega he treated with such care. I suddenly understood everything. I lowered my head, feeling out of place. Fortunately, the manager's voice chimed in at the right moment. "Young master." "Julian, perfect timing. We just got a new batch in. Would you like to see if there's anything you like?" He finally looked away, and I practically fled. No wonder Holden liked him. Beautiful, noble, cultured. Compared to a bottom-tier beta like me, the difference was heaven and earth. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. Holden's ointment was effective. The pain in my body had lessened significantly. Taking advantage of my improved condition, I took a cab to the sanatorium. I hadn't seen my mom in a few days. She was getting thinner, her face sallow. Seeing me, her eyes lit up, and she smiled gently. "Liam, are you tired lately?" "Mom, I'm not tired at all. The job is great." I sat by the bed peeling an apple for her. "Mom, I've almost saved enough money. You can have the surgery soon with peace of mind. Once you've recovered, we'll move to another city and live a quiet life." Just as I brought the apple to Mom's mouth, the door was kicked open. "Oh my, who is it?" She jumped, and the apple rolled onto the floor. Seeing the visitor, my heart hammered in my chest. The next second, I was scooped up horizontally and carried out the door. "Wait, Commander, wait." Seeing the terrified expression on Mom's face, I hammered frantically on Holden's chest. He didn't react at all, forcibly stuffing me into the passenger seat. He slammed on the gas, stopping steadily in front of a villa. I had never been here before. Only after he threw me inside did I realize it was ridiculously large yet very empty. "Liam." He grabbed me by the collar, his eyes red with rage. "You sold the necklace?" I couldn't defend myself. I could only hang my head and accept his overwhelming anger. "Speak. You're with me just for the fucking money? For that old dying woman?" Smack. I slapped him across the face. When I came to my senses, I shrank back, my hand trembling, and begged with a sobbing voice. Commander, I'm sorry. Please don't drag my mom into this. The air was silent for a long time. I carefully looked up. The man stood against the light. Instead of exploding in rage, a strange smile pulled at his lips. He gripped my hand, pressing it against his burning cheek, his voice hoarse. Liam, you wanted to resign because of her too? And no, it's because I don't have the ability to serve you. I understand. He pulled me into his arms and kissed the corner of my mouth. From now on, you live here. I was confusingly arranged to stay in the room next to his, but I couldn't stop worrying about my mom. What should I do? She must be worried about me. What if she gets too agitated and her condition worsens? The more I thought, the more panicked I got. I rolled out of bed. As soon as I opened the door, I was blocked by 2 bodyguards. Mr. Liam, what do you need? I want to go out. Where is the commander? I want to see him, but no matter what I said, they wouldn't budge. In the end, I was desperate, sweating all over with anxiety, until that cold, tall figure finally appeared in my line of sight. Commander! My voice was thick with congestion, cracking. Holden's footsteps paused. Then he walked quickly up the stairs and pulled me into his arms. Why are you crying again? He pinched my cheek, then lowered his head to kiss away my tears, carrying me back to the room. Commander, I want to go to the sanatorium to see my mom. I begged him with red eyes, but saw him look away. Stop fussing. What could happen to her? Before I could speak again, he suddenly curved his lips into a smile, looking unexpectedly gentle. Liam, didn't you say you wanted to see the Federation's meteor shower? Tomorrow I'll take you to see it, okay? I had indeed longed to see the Federation's meteor shower. It was a wonder described in textbooks. I had imagined it many times, but right now my mind was full of my mom. Commander, I don't really want to go right now, could we? Liam, don't push your luck. Holden interrupted me, his tone heavy. Is it fun pretending like this? You think I don't know your little schemes? I'm not pretending. I gritted my teeth, my voice very soft. I'm just worried about my mom. Enough. Tomorrow morning at 7 we leave on time. If you dare be late or mention your mom one more time. He didn't finish. He slammed the door and left. I sat paralyzed on the carpet, sleepless all night. Early the next morning, I was invited onto the shuttle by the bodyguards. Holden sat in the main seat, eyes closed, resting. People boarded one after another, all wearing formal Federation uniforms. They bowed respectfully when they saw Holden, but their eyes kept darting toward me. That's the beta by Commander Holden's side? Looks painfully average. How did he catch the commander's eye? Catch his eye? He's just a breathing tool. The commander only cares about the young master of the Smith family. True. How can a beta compare to an omega? Especially that Smith. The whispers drilled into my ears. I clenched my fists. Holden couldn't have missed them. I quietly looked up, meeting his gaze perfectly. He raised an eyebrow, asking with a faint smile, "What? Uncomfortable?" I quickly lowered my head. No. He didn't press further, closing his eyes again, his fingers tapping lightly on his knee. The shuttle eventually landed on the top platform of the Interstellar Observatory. Holden stood in front of the telescope, adjusting the parameters. His profile softened slightly in the dim light. For a moment, I almost thought he might actually just want to show me a meteor shower. Until his communicator rang. The name Julian popped up. He glanced at it once, turned to me, dropped the sentence "Stay here, don't wander off," and strode away. Watching Holden disappear into the corridor, I hesitated for a moment, then walked to the telescope and looked into the eyepiece, just as he had. But I waited for a long time and saw nothing. I don't know how long I sat withered in that cold place. Finally, the door slowly opened. But the person who entered wasn't the commander I was waiting for. It was a completely strange man. The insignia on his shoulder indicated he was also high-ranking. The man walked over, looking down at me condescendingly. "So you're the so-called stabilizer for Commander Holden?" I nodded silently, burying my face lower. The man made an ambiguous "O" sound. "Let's go. I'm taking you out." I froze in place, not moving. He clearly had no patience. Seeing I wasn't moving, he reached out and grabbed my arm. His grip was strong. I groaned in pain, but he dragged me out without explanation. He threw me into a large, luxuriously furnished room. Before I could stand steady, the man pressed down on me. In front of an alpha, a beta's resistance is negligible. It only invited rougher treatment. I didn't understand why this was happening. Physical pain and mental humiliation intertwined, almost tearing me apart. Dealing with the commander alone had already exhausted all my strength. Being treated like this now, I didn't even have the will to fight back. It was like a slow execution by 1,000 cuts. His movements held no tenderness. My body was soon covered in bruises, forehead pressed against the cold floor. My tears had long dried up, leaving only suppressed whimpers in my throat. In a trance, I even thought he wanted to kill me. My consciousness began to blur, only hearing his fragmented whispers in my ear. Boring. Nothing compared to Julian. Julian? I didn't have the strength to think about it. I don't know how long. It passed before he finally got bored and pulled away. Later, I don't know who dragged me out and dumped me casually in the corridor. So cold, so sleepy, so tired. But I couldn't die yet. Before my consciousness sank completely into darkness, I had only this one thought. When I woke up again, my eyelids felt heavy, impossible to open fully. The smell of disinfectant was pungent. My body felt like it had been disassembled and put back together, unable to move. I was truly useless, fate dominated by others at will, not even having the strength to stand up on my own, like a piece of trash. At that moment, a hand gently covered mine. The fingertips were calloused, but right now they were shaking violently. It was the commander. I struggled to turn my eyes, his silhouette reflecting in my blurry vision. Liam, you're awake? I opened my mouth. My throat burned with pain. I couldn't make a sound. His grip on my hand tightened, then immediately loosened. I sent people to pick you up, but they said they couldn't find you. That bunch of useless idiots. He took a deep breath. I will find out the truth. Everyone involved. None of them will escape. Holden's tone held suppressed rage. He looked at me, leaning down slightly. Liam, I will get you the best doctors, the best medicine. I won't let you have any lasting damage. I promise. I listened quietly. His anger, his promises, his panic, none of it was worth my thought. I just wanted to know, how was my mom? She was still waiting for me to come back. I had to get better. Under top-tier medical care, my body slowly healed. Holden spent most of his time with me, but whenever Julian came looking for him, he would hug me and whisper, "Be good. Wait for me to come back." He would often be gone for a long time. That day, the cast on my knee had just been removed. I could barely stand by holding onto the wall. The thought in my heart could no longer be suppressed. I want to see my mom. Holden was serving soup for me. Hearing this, he paused, then said faintly, "She's fine. Just focus on recovering." "I'm worried. I want to see her with my own eyes." "Wait until you're a bit better." I interrupted Holden. "Did something happen to her? Are you taking care of her? Which hospital is she in? I can go by myself. You don't need to accompany me." "Don't overthink it." I said, "She's fine." "Then let me see her." Tears surged out without warning. "Tell me where she is. I just want one look." He abruptly turned around, keeping his back to me. Only my rapid breathing remained in the quiet hospital room. Ignoring my unhealed legs, I stumbled forward, my knees slamming straight onto the floor. The pain was piercing. I didn't care. I grabbed the hem of Holden's pants. "Please, I want to see my mom. Please, Commander, I only have her." The next second, he bent down and scooped me up, pressing me tightly into his arms. His hands were shaking, making his whole embrace tremble. "Liam, be good. Your legs aren't healed yet." He blocked the words I wanted to say, kissing me urgently and messily. He kissed my forehead, my eyes, my lips. "I'm sorry." I grabbed his collar tightly, choking back sobs. "What happened to my mom?" Holden froze. His voice was very quiet. "She's gone." The world fell into a dead silence. I knew it. My mom passed away. The only person in the world who loved me was gone. My heart was unexpectedly calm. I looked at him. "When did she go?" Holden avoided my gaze, his voice strained. "That day. The day before I took you to see the meteors." "How did she go?" "Went to see her." "Why?" He closed his eyes, his voice lowering. I was a bit angry because you weren't listening to me that day. I told her that you belonged to me, that I could pay for her surgery. That's all? I interrupted him, my voice still flat. He paused. Tell me. I suddenly raised my volume. What exactly did you say to her? He suddenly grabbed my hand, his palm burning hot. I said some bastard things. I said you were just a plaything I kept around. I said she raised a son just for him to end up relying on men for money. My heart felt a sharp, piercing pain. She got very agitated and suddenly collapsed. I called the doctor immediately. I told them they had to save her. Holden explained incoherently. But she still died, didn't she? I suddenly laughed. So that day, he wanted to use that ethereal starry sky to compensate me. How ridiculous. Tears slid down my cheeks. The cold sensation finally gave me a shred of reality. I didn't have a mom anymore. The mom who saved the best things for me was gone. Then what was the use of all that money I had tried so hard to get? Where was the meaning in my struggle to survive? He was still saying something. He said he was wrong, that he would compensate me in the future, that he would never let me suffer any grievance again. But I couldn't hear him. Whatever. Nothing mattered anymore. From that day on, it was like all the life had been drained out of me. The only resistance I could offer was silence, starving myself, refusing treatment, slowly wearing myself down. I was as insignificant as dust. I couldn't fight these people high above me. The only thing I could control was my own life and death. When Holden came to see me, he would personally pick up the spoon and bring the warm porridge to my lips. Just one bite. HM? I turned my head away, pressing my lips tight. He wouldn't persuade me much. He'd just call the medical staff to force-feed me nutrient solution. These days, Holden tried everything. He clumsily learned to make nutritious meals and guarded my bedside all night. If I moved even slightly, he would wake up with a start, asking nervously, what's wrong? Under his forceful care, my body actually got better day by day. I looked no different from before, perhaps even healthier. Holden didn't touch me anymore. At night, he just held me gently. Occasionally, he would lower his head and lightly kiss my forehead, my eyes. I never gave him any reaction. That day, he came. Back after handling official business, looking grim. I found out who touched you that day. It was Adjutant Quinn. His voice went cold, carrying a suppressed ruthlessness. He and I have had a grudge for a long time. He did it on purpose. I continued flipping through my book. Who Adjutant Quinn was or how Holden would take revenge had nothing to do with me, until he took a deep breath and held my hand. I'm gonna marry you. I paused, slowly lifting my eyelids. Why? Holden was clearly stunned for a moment. Then immense joy flooded his face as he hugged me tightly. It's compensation. I know it's not enough, but I'll use my whole life to make it up to you. Okay? Compensation. Compensation again. I looked at the light in his eyes and nodded. The wedding was hasty but grand. I wore a white suit, standing beside Holden. The guests were all dignitaries. Beneath their politeness, their eyes were full of undisguised scrutiny and contempt. I didn't care until that figure appeared. Adjutant Quinn. He was looking over with a half-smile. Commander Holden really is in high spirits. Marrying a thing like this and making such a big fuss about it. Holden's face darkened instantly. Before Quinn could speak again, Holden had already thrown a punch. A dull thud resonated. Quinn staggered back a few steps, cursed under his breath, and lunged back. I stepped back to a safe distance and watched silently. People around them reacted, stepping in to pull them apart, barely ending the farce. Blood seeped from a cut on Holden's face. He pushed aside the others and walked straight to me, his chest heaving violently. I reached out, took a disinfectant swab from nearby, and gently pressed it on the wound on his face. Then I squeezed out some ointment and applied it carefully. His body tensed instantly, then relaxed, allowing me to do as I pleased. He even lowered his head slightly to make it easier for me. The murmurs around us quieted down. Done. I withdrew my hand, my voice calm and unwavering. Can the wedding start now? He looked at me, the corners of his mouth lifting. He quickly kissed my lips. Let's start. You're being so good today. The ceremony proceeded step by step. It was time to exchange rings. Holden picked up the ring, carefully trying to slide it onto my finger. Just then, a guard rushed in, panicked. Commander, Bad news. Young Master Julian is in trouble. His hand holding the ring froze in midair. What happened? The young master is threatening suicide. He's on the rooftop threatening to jump. Holden looked at me, his lips moving. He only spat out 3 words. Sorry. Wait for me. Before the words settled, he had already rushed away. I watched the direction he disappeared, suppressing the urge to smile. As expected, the surroundings were in chaos. No one paid attention to me. I avoided the crowd and ran in the opposite direction of Holden. There was a large bridge nearby, spanning the vast East River. The late autumn wind off the river was cold, making me shiver. I didn't look back. I threw myself off the edge. When Holden reached the rooftop, Julian was hanging halfway over the railing. His heart constricted violently. He practically threw himself forward, grabbing the person and pulling them tightly into his arms. Are you crazy? His voice trembled. Who told you to do this? Julian struggled a few times in his arms, lifted his face, his eyes red. Didn't you get married? Why did you come back for me? Holden, leave me alone. Nonsense. Holden tightened his arms, pressing him against his chest. How could I not care about you? Don't do anything stupid. Whatever happens, I'm here. You're here? If you're here, would you marry someone else? Holden, you lied to me. Listening to Julian's whimpers, Holden could only pat his back, repeating I'm sorry over and over. The 2 figures embraced tightly, as if they were the ones who should have been standing in the center of the wedding hall today. After finally calming Julian down, Holden brought him to the banquet hall. Only then did he realize something, his footsteps halting abruptly. Where is Liam? He grabbed a guard. The guard stammered, Commander, not long after you ran out, Mr. Liam seemed to follow you out. Holden's face went instantly pale. At this moment, Quinn walked over slowly, a gloating smile on his lips. His gaze drifted seemingly unintentionally over Julian. The incident today, Julian had hinted for him to set it up. He despised Holden anyway and wanted to please Julian. More, if he could make Julian smile, he didn't mind getting his hands dirty. But right now, before Quinn could voice his mockery, Holden grabbed him by the collar. Which way did he run? Quinn was shaken by the look in his eyes. How would I know? Holden shoved him away and ran out like a madman. He mobilized every force available, until someone reported seeing a figure in a white suit near the East River Bridge. He rushed to the bridge and saw a crowd gathered from afar. What happened? He grabbed an onlooker, his voice hoarse. The person was scared by his appearance and stammered. Jay, just now, someone jumped into the river. Holden felt all sound vanish from the world. Go down and find him. Get down there. Dig 3 feet into the earth if you have to. But find him. The guards moved quickly, but Holden couldn't wait. He tore off his suit jacket and jumped into the bone-chilling river water. Instantly wrapped in cold, a sense of suffocation surged up, but he didn't care. Holden groped stubbornly in the water, shouting that name, but there was not even an echo. He didn't know how long passed before he was forcibly dragged ashore, his consciousness blurring. Commander, we can't find him. Keep looking. His voice trembled. He tried to jump back in but was pinned down. Holden had people search for 3 days and 3 nights. No person alive, no corpse found. The wedding never happened. In the master bedroom, Liam's scent had grown very faint. Holden suddenly realized, even though they had lived together for so long, Liam hadn't left a single trace here. It was as if he had never existed. He had disappeared from his world completely. The river didn't swallow me. When I woke up, looking at the unfamiliar boat cabin and the fisherman's tanned face, I clenched my fist tight. The pain of nails digging into my palm confirmed I was still alive. Alive meant I still had a chance. I couldn't just let this hatred go. For the next 5 years, to erase my past, I changed my name to Jared. Using the last of my strength and the money I had siphoned from Holden, I started from scratch. I learned to flatter, I learned to disguise myself. Several times I almost broke halfway, but I held on by relying on that pure hatred.
Later, met Quinn.
At a private cocktail party, he wore that same faint, ambiguous smile. Jared? Why the name change? I didn't avoid his gaze, raising my glass in return. Does Adjutant Quinn think it's bad? Can't say it's bad. I just didn't expect you to climb to today's position. He laughed. A man has to survive. We talked a lot that day. He said he needed a knife to stab Holden. And I needed a platform that would let me climb higher, closer to Holden. We secretly became allies. With Quinn's subtle support and my own methods, 5 years later, I finally climbed high enough. High enough to be qualified to appear in front of Holden. That day was a routine military meeting. Wearing a crisp uniform, I followed behind Quinn. Into the conference room I had once only looked up to from afar. Then I met those familiar eyes. Holden sat in the main seat. 5 years later, he seemed more composed. When his gaze landed on me, the fountain pen in his hand snapped. Everyone sensed something was wrong, but no one dared to look too closely. I lowered my eyelids, walked up to him, and gave a standard military salute. Reporting to the commander. New Adjutant Jared, reporting for duty. Lee, I will assist you with military affairs from now on. Please guide me, Commander. He stood up abruptly, his hot breath brushing my cheek. Liam, you're really not dead. I stepped back impassively, avoiding his touch. He opened his mouth, but eventually just pressed his lips tight and sat back down. The meeting proceeded as usual. Holden's gaze almost never left me. It was too scorching, and I reported my work without any expression. After the meeting, he stopped me. Lee. Jared, let's talk. I turned around. What does the commander want to talk about? I know I was wrong about what happened back then. I will compensate you with everything I have. I have work to do. I'll take my leave. I interrupted him, turned, and walked away, ignoring his pleas behind me. Days as Holden's adjutant were tense to the extreme. He always tried to bridge the distance between us. A cup of coffee at the perfect temperature would appear on my desk. A small box of candy would be placed next to the files. Once, when I was halfway through a report, he suddenly spoke softly. Do you want to take a break? I would only distance myself politely. Until that day when Julian appeared at the military headquarters. He barged straight into Holden's office and sat naturally on the sofa. Holden, come with me to an art exhibition. Holden frowned.
I'm busy.
No matter how busy you are, you have to accompany me. Julian glanced at me with a smile. Let your adjutant do the work. I pretended not to hear, continuing to organize the documents in my hand. Holden looked at me, but eventually stood up. As he passed me, his steps paused, and he whispered, just leave the files on the desk. I nodded. After they left, the office was empty. Quinn was standing behind me at some point, his tone mocking. Seems like some people's place in his heart is just so. Isn't that perfect? Perfect for reminding me clearly that when it comes to who I should hate, not a single one can be spared. That day, when I was privately handing over work to Quinn, the office door was ajar. Pushing it open, I walked in just as he was staring at his computer screen, lost in thought. On the screen was a photo of Julian, the teenage Julian, smiling brightly, his brows full of worldly innocence. Sensing movement, he quickly turned off the screen, the rare softness on his face fading. I walked to the desk without looking sideways and pushed an encrypted file over. Holden is checking the accounts of the West City Arsenal recently. Be careful on your end. Understood. Business done. I turned to leave, but he called me back. Liam. I stopped. Our plan is almost complete. Holden will fall and then, I interrupted him, my tone flat. He froze for a moment, then laughed lazily. Then, we take what we need naturally. You know, the old you was cuter. At least not like now, cold and boring. Suppressed anger surged. My nails dug deep into my palms, using the pain to maintain my last shred of calm. Without arguing, I opened the door and walked straight out. The day Holden was convicted, the weather was impossibly good. The chain of evidence for treason bound this once all-powerful commander tightly. The arms deals he conducted in secret to consolidate power, the secret contacts with foreign forces, all laid out in the sun. Every single item was enough to damn him eternally. As the final verdict fell in the courtroom, his back remained straight. His gaze cut through the crowd, landing precisely on me. From the investigation to the final conviction, I had participated in the entire process. I personally handed those pieces of evidence to the tribunal. As he was taken away by the bailiffs, he passed by me. He stopped. The bailiff wanted to hurry him but was stopped by his look. Adjutant Jared. I looked up at him, my gaze calm and rippleless. Commander? Not anymore. I was silent for a moment, then corrected myself. Holden. This was the first time I called him by his name. Holden looked at me. Too many emotions churning in his eyes. You did. Very well. More ruthless than I imagined. You deserve it. But he smiled, his shoulders shaking slightly. This was also the first time I saw him cry. Tears rolled down his angular cheeks and smashed onto the floor. Yes, I deserve it. He choked back a sob, his gaze locking onto me. Liam, do you remember? You used to cry so easily. Your eyes would redden at a touch. Tears fell faster than anyone else's when you were wronged, but now you won't shed a single tear for me. I turned my face away and spoke coldly to the bailiff. Take him away. He struggled no more. After Holden fell, I held all the evidence of the dirty dealings Julian had done relying on his family's power. When Quinn found me, his face was ashen. The Smith family can't be touched. It will cause turbulence in the military. Turbulence? I sneered and threw a stack of documents in front of him. Do you really think I don't know how much military pay the Smith family embezzled and how many arms they smuggled over the years relying on Holden's funneling of benefits? He looked at the documents, his face turning pale bit by bit. I stood up, looking down at him. Don't worry. What you should be worried about is yourself. Dealing with Quinn was easier than imagined. His old grudges with Holden and his dirty deals with the Smith family were ready-made weapons. I didn't even have to do it myself. I just sent the evidence anonymously, enough to ruin his reputation. In the end, he shot himself in despair. On the day all obstacles were cleared, the military held an emergency meeting. My name was nominated as the new commander. No one raised an objection. Standing in the position that once belonged to Holden, looking at the silent crowd below. I won. Holden was dead, Julian had gone mad, Quinn had committed suicide. Revenge was served. But why did I, standing here, feel no joy at all? Felt like I was always losing. I lost my mom. I lost the person I used to be. I lost the warmth that, however brief, had truly existed. The sunlight was still bright. I looked up, but felt only dampness on my face.